What's up, everybody? How's it going? Gordon again with something that spun off from a Sunday short. So today, I want to talk about a couple things. This really started as a segment of my Sunday shorts, and as I started looking at it more and more, I realized I kind of need to spend some time on this by itself. I think it's an important thing that is getting some attention across the country, and I think that if you are talking about sports, you kind of need to talk about it. And that is the disparity in women's college sports that's happening right now between the men. And it started really, it started a long time ago. It's always been prevalent, but it really came to some attention lately with the weight room situation in San Antonio for the women's college basketball championship, and they compared it to the men's. And obviously it was disheartening. That's the only word I can think of. It was disheartening. I mean, you have some of the greatest basketball in the world being played by these women, right? Like, some of the greatest basketball in the world is being played by these college students, these women who absolutely deserve relevant treatment. And they were not given that. It's bad when Dick's Sporting Goods is like, hey, we'll fix it. No problem. You just say the word. We are loaded for bear and we're ready. Like, we'll be there in minutes. Like, just let us know. Just say, hey, yeah, cool, bring it. So to have that situation was embarrassing for the NCAA. And I don't want to kick somebody when they're down, but you're really not doing this well, NCAA. So NCAA has planned to reduce both their soccer and volleyball championships from 64 teams down to 48. Nope, don't like that. Why? Why do you need to do that? Why do you need to shrink these championships? There's no reason. It's 16 teams. It's in one location. Like, you can't find enough space for these 16 other teams. You can't find enough space for these other teams, these other schools that have worked just as hard as the schools that do make it, the top 48 teams. You're telling me those other 16 teams somehow worked less hard and don't deserve a shot at it? That's what makes college sports great. College football is a whole different thing, and I don't like the way that college football playoff is done. But all these other college sports, men and women, have very real, true, like, good old-fashioned tournaments. And at the end, whoever wins worked their ass off to get that W. Like, you don't win a national championship in a college sport and not have worked for it. And having said that, yes, college football teams work really hard to get national championships. This is just the 4-team thing is I'm not a huge fan of. That's a whole different spot. But these women work really, really hard, just as hard as men do. And they deserve the right to compete just as much as men do. So if we're not shrinking men's college sports, we definitely don't need to be shrinking women's college sports under any circumstances. None. My dad said a long time ago that no athlete wants to just be told they're a champion because they compete. That's what athletes do. They compete. They want to earn that. They want to be a champion, but they want to earn that championship. They don't want somebody to just go, here, you're a champion. It doesn't feel right. It feels, in some ways, yes, it feels, I think now it doesn't feel that way in some way. It doesn't feel wrong in some ways because we know that realistically, that's the way the game is played, right? Like, that's the situation that the world is in. It's been that way for a long time. So if somebody gives you a championship, you still had to work for it. Like, it's not just a thing. But 16 teams, you really can't figure out 16 teams? And is 16 teams really a deal breaker for you guys? Like, is that the problem? Like, that's where you're like, I think we can cut out 16 teams. 40, what? I hate it. I hate all of that. They're planning to do it. The plan is to do that for volleyball and for soccer, which, by the way, soccer got backed up to a spring sport now. It's usually a winter sport, or fall, sorry, a fall sport for them, for the NCAA, and they backed that up to spring, and now they're saying, hey, let's do 48 teams, and that's 16 teams that aren't getting a shot, 16 teams that worked to get a shot, 16 teams full of people with hopes and dreams and aspirations who are not going to get their shot. I mean, how many of these women, it's their senior year, their last year of eligibility even, that worked hard and in a typical year would have gotten a shot at this. I understand that we're in an atypical situation here. But come on, guys. Y'all can do better than that. Like, come on. They can do better than that. They can plan to figure it out. How about that? Y'all figure it out. On the backside of that, I do want to talk about women's college basketball. This is going to be, here's my my bold prediction. Read that as like it's kind of a given. I think the game between UConn and Baylor is going to be, man, I think it's going to be a fun one. I could be wrong. I think it's going to be fun. It is worth noting, however, that Baylor won by 3 in their last game. And UConn beat Iowa by 20. By 20. And I think that's an important thing. I think it's important that we first acknowledge one really important thing, and that is that each of these games, and we saw this in the men's as well, each of these games is a microcosm, right? Like, they are completely contained within themselves. Because in the men's tournament, I remember watching these tournaments and going like, dude, there's no way, there's no way that this team is going to do that well because they only won by 3. I talked about this with the Florida State and Colorado game. Colorado won, Colorado, for all intents and purposes, dismantled Georgetown. Florida State won against, UNC Greensboro. Good game. It was a good game. Florida State won. They definitely won the game. But it was a lot closer than the Colorado-Georgetown game. Florida State whipped Colorado. And that was when I was like, oh yeah, in the tournament, each game is its own thing. It's its own microcosm. So we've seen this in the women's a little less, but I do think it's worth noting that UConn Baylor, this is the number 1 and number 2 in their area, in their division, region, that's the word I'm looking for. Jeez. Yeah, I think if UConn wins this game, just whoever prints their banners, their ridiculous number of banners, should just go ahead and start printing this one, because I think these ladies are going to just march right on into the Final Four, and I think they're just going to take it to the house. I think they're just going to be like, thank you, we will take that chip, and we're going to take it back to Connecticut, and we're going to put it in our Hall of Women's Glory, because, my goodness, Gino Auriemma is... he's a machine. Also, Gino apparently has COVID, and I really hope that he's able to recover from that. He's been coaching from distance through video and things like that. I think it says a lot about this team, though, specifically, that they don't have their coach there on the sidelines, and they are still able to go out and execute and perform well and put up a solid performance. Winning by 20 against a solid team is not a... That's not like a surprise, right? Like, it's not even a surprise. It's not that... It's impressive is what it is, right? Like, there's no two things about that anybody should be confused about, right? I mean, it's something that I think needs to be acknowledged, that these ladies are able to continue to work and to do well, given the fact that they don't have their head coach there. So it says a lot about the team, and not just his leadership that set this up, but it says a lot about the strength of these women specifically. And I think that needs to be acknowledged as well. So wrapping this up, little short piece here for you. NCAA, pull your head out and let the women play. Like, there's no reason to cut it short. And also, the machine rolls, I guess. I mean, Baylor's a solid team. Baylor could be the team that dismantles the machine. It could be. we'll see. Baylor has played well this year. They've been a team that a lot of people thought could win. Can they be UConn? I don't know. We'll see. I think that's really, if I'm honest with you guys, I think that's going to be the next big thing. Like, when, how does that play out? So, by the way, that game is going to be tomorrow at 6 Central. So, be ready. Get your popcorn ready, because you're going to need it. These ladies are about to throw down. All right. Be sure to like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Share this video. Whatever makes you happy. And we'll see you next time.